Hey traders, so welcome to the Sharks Trading Academy's weekly market analysis. And over here, we're talking about the DXY, which is the US dollar. So over here, we have a monthly demand zone, right? You can see this is a monthly demand zone. Prices taps into it, okay? Failing to create a lower low. You can see prices came back down, liquidated this low, taps into this 8-hour demand zone. So let's go to the 8-hour demand zone. And you can actually see that over here we have a sell to buy candle, right? So this low liquidated this position, okay? So prices came back, tapped into it over here, and gave us some sort of accumulation to break out, right? So if you go to the daily time frame, you can see that prices makes a move out, break out of structure, never really came back down for any accumulation over here to push prices higher, and instead prices just continue moving, right, giving you the bullish order flow. So now you can see that prices are at this level, right? So this is a weekly supply zone, okay? And if you drop down to the daily time frame again, this has some sort of a stopping action. So you can see that on the lower time frame, in a retail standpoint, this is actually a rising wedge, right? And as a smart money trader or someone who trades buy call, right, you are waiting for distributions inside of here, right, to shift prices. And over here we have the buying climax, we have the automatic rally ST, right? So this is your PSY. Okay, so what does this mean? We expect prices to make another move higher, right? To do what? To liquidate these levels. So this is our liquidity area in terms of trend line, right? So as prices makes its way up, it's going to break this level, right? Liquidating these levels, maybe perhaps come back down, and this creates the UT. So it depends on what happens here, right? So if prices breaks down from here, then your schematic only has UT, right? But if prices didn't break down from here, but instead it has some sort of a demand inside of here, then it makes another move up, and this creates your UT. Okay. So this is the other distribution. And then we see a breakdown, the shift in structure, breaking out of your AR over here. Then we have your break of structure. Then maybe a pullback, right, into supply zones left behind inside of here, your UT, right? Then you can sell off here for lower prices, okay? So for those who can't trade the US dollar, right, then you just look for Euro USD and do the opposite, right? Because DXY and Euro USD are negatively related, okay? So what we're going to see here, for aggressive traders, you can actually just place a sell limit here, stop loss above this level. But if you want to wait for confirmation, like myself, dive deeper into this level, okay? Look for the same distribution inside of here. Look for the same movement, all right? This is how you get involved, and you will get involved here. And in this case, you can place your stop loss above this level. Why? Because this has been validated, right? This supply zone has been validated with this shift. As prices taps into this area, you may not know whether this supply holds or not. And that is why your stop loss is always above the zone, okay? So over here, we have the euro dollar, and you can see that we have a refined zone here where prices taps into, give us a distribution, right? Broke out of structure over here. So as prices breaks this level, you can see that we are actually waiting for a pullback into this supply zone, give us a distribution to push prices lower into this area. But prices didn't actually come back to our supply zone and started to move down, right? Continuing this bearish order flow. So if prices comes back towards this level, it gives us a clause to buy. So if we're waiting for accumulation over here, right? Maybe equal lows, right? Then a move down, tapping into the refined 30-minute zone, a breakout, a shift. So this should bring us to this supply zone, right, over here. So we'll be waiting for distribution inside of here, right? Equal highs, maybe your Y curve, right? Tapping into this level, breaks down, shift, and this shift should push prices towards this refined 4-hour zone, okay? Then what do we wait for here? We wait for accumulation, right? Because you can see that on the 4-hour time frame, we have this order block, right? And on the daily time frame, we have created a low here, right? We liquidated these positions inside of here, right? Maybe tap into supply zones here, and we are expecting prices to move down temporarily into this level. So if this demand holds and we see a breakout, so let me just remove. So if we see a breakout over here, you can see this is a demand zone, right? If we see a breakout, a shift, then we can expect prices to be moving into these levels, right? Because you can see here are imbalances, right? And if we see a shift in structure, we're likely to move towards this area, right? Mitigating imbalances, tapping into supply zones before actually moving down deeper, right? Because ultimately we didn't create a higher high. Although we are still bullish temporarily, we are still waiting for prices to fill this level at the very least before moving down. Next up, we have the Aussie dollar, and you can see that on a weekly basis, we are still downtrend, right? We are still showing bearish order flow, and prices actually taps into this supply over here, okay? Broke out of structure, and we are likely to see prices moving towards this demand, right? So from here towards this area, we are looking for sells, right? So if you go down to the lower time frame, you just keep looking for sells, right? Sell, 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 sell into this demand level, and then you wait for accumulation and some sort of a stopping action along the way to tell you that prices wants to move higher, right? So if we see this, we can actually get involved inside of here. So let's go down to the lower time frame to see how we can catch sells into this demand. So let's go down to the 1 hour time frame. So you can see that prices just broke out of major structure over here, right? And we are waiting for a pullback into supply zones, maybe towards this area, right? So I'll be waiting for a pullback into here, okay? Perhaps liquidating areas inside of here, you see? So these are the highs to be taken out. And the real cost that broke out of structure over here would be this level. So look to confirm this level, if not aim for higher supply zones. So if I'm not wrong, here should have a supply zone on the 4 hours. Okay, so either one of them you can take it, right? As long as it gives you a confirmation. So if you're a higher time frame trader, skip this, right? Wait for the pullback into this level over here, then give you a distribution to push prices lower. Okay, so you can see that here we have an imbalance as well, right? Inside of here, where prices are likely to mitigate instead of inside of here, because on the 4 hour time frame you can't see anything inside of here, right? So drop down to the 4 hour time frame, look for distributions, look for the shift in structure before taking sells. Over here we have the euro pound, and you can see that we actually charted this and we expect prices to move towards liquidity highs, right? So what we have now is that prices are at a demand zone, and we are looking for prices to actually tap into this area first, because this is a supply level on an 8 hour time frame. So can you see this supply broke out of structure over here and taps into this demand? So we are unsure whether this demand is actually going to completely reverse, right? Because this is the high or the structure that we are supposed to break, right? So if you want prices to move higher, we need a breakout of this level, then a pullback onto potential demand zones for us to catch the continuation move, right? Then all of these would be liquidity highs, right? All of these will be served as liquidity highs. That is only if we broke out of this level, okay? So if you drop out to the lower time frame, we are expecting prices to actually make its way up towards this level. So maybe a move towards here, creating equal highs, then a tap into this level, a shift, right? And this shift tells us that this supply level is going to hold, at least for now, on a short-term basis, right? And this should project prices down towards this area. So this is a demand zone as well, and it's valid to take, right? Because you can see this demand zone over here already got mitigated. So the next demand level, or where we are looking to buy from, would be this area. So do we just place a buy limit here? We don't do that, right? We wait for confirmations. We want to wait for the schematic of the Wyckoff. In retail standpoint, it's like a bearish or falling wedge, or any sort of shift in structure over here, right? So maybe something like this into demand areas to push prices potentially higher, or maybe mitigate some areas over here, right? So this is the trade approach for the euro pound. And if this zone over here, this demand zone doesn't hold, then we expect prices to continue the bearish flow towards deeper areas into this refined zone, right? So can you see over here, this is the 4 hour refined zone, right? And if this demand over here fails to hold, then we expect deeper mitigations into this area, right? And we are definitely looking to buy over here, right? After the shift. And this should push prices higher. Over here, we have the pound Aussie, and you can see that prices are still delivering higher, right? Over here. right? This is a liquidity grab towards the higher areas inside of here. So you have to understand that prices are likely to come back towards this demand zone and move on from here to continue the bullish order flow, right? But first, understand where did this supply zone come from. So you go to the daily time frame, you understand that this comes from the wick over here on the daily, right? And if you dive deeper on the 30 minutes time frame, you can see that this is a supply zone that broke out of major structure over here, right? So this is a break of structure, and this is the order block left behind. So for those who trade the 50% mitigation, you understand that this is your refined zone now, right? So let me change this to red, our refined zone, and move to current prices. So you can see that prices taps in perfectly over here. Give us a Wyckoff schematic, break out of structure, and came back to retest this supply zone, right? So if you go down to the 1 minute time frame, we actually caught a sell here. As prices breaks this protected low, we understand that it left behind supply zones inside of here. And we actually take the pullback, alright, over here. And we're targeting liquidity highs or lows over here, right? You can see that this is a demand zone. And prices didn't actually tap into our demand zone. And we actually liquidated some of the positions here, okay? Then prices came back all the way out to top out our remaining positions. So on the 1 hour time frame, you understand that we are still moving towards this area. So this is our projection. We want to sell into this to buy, right? So you can expect prices to liquidate this level of trend line, right? This may be a trend line liquidity for prices to break, creating equal lows over here or here, tap into our demand, give us some sort of a shift in structure to push prices higher. However, if this demand zone don't hold, then we expect a bearish order flow after which, right? Saying that this demand zone this supply zone on the 30 minutes time frame is going to hold, then we can expect deeper prices. So if you see on the daily time frame, this is the level that we want to break, right? This over here. Okay, so once prices breaks this level, we are expecting prices to move lower, definitely. And this is our approach to the pound Aussie, right? Wait for the move towards this area, validate this buy structure before you move on towards the buys. So over here we have the NJ, and you can see how prices are delivering to us, right? We have a low high, lower low, right, into this demand zone, and now creating this structure over here. So do you want to be a buyer or seller inside this zone? Because you understand that with this higher high and higher low, right, you're expecting this liquidity to be taken out. And as prices taps into this area, we are looking for buys, right, to at least move towards this area. So with this break of structure inside of here, we expect prices to accumulate inside of here, give us a shift, then potentially enter here, right, to push prices towards these liquidity highs, right? And after grabbing these orders inside of here, then potentially selling inside any of these supply zones inside of here to bring us lower before moving higher, right? Because you understand that on a daily time frame, we are still looking for this liquidity over here, right? Prices are delivering to us this way, right? So this is the high that we're looking for, and this is the protected low. So if prices breaks this level, then we are definitely going bearish, right? And trade off these supply zones. So this is a very crucial area to determine where prices are moving towards, okay? And that is why this is our liquidity area. So we are always trying to achieve buys into this area, right? So when you go down to the lower time frame, you understand that where are prices trying to ultimately reach, and all of these are just intermediary price action, okay? So if you are really confused about the current price action over here, then all you need to do is to wait, right? So what do I mean by that? Remove all of this, okay, and wait for prices to give you two clear main directions, okay? Wait for the breakout of this area. So if prices taps to here, you don't want to buy here, okay, because you're confused about the market, right? Then just wait for a breakout and wait for prices to pull back into the demand zones over here. Then give you an accumulation to push prices higher. So this is clearer, right? A clear break of structure over here, then a pullback for buys. Otherwise, wait for prices to break this level, okay? If prices were to break this area, clearing this trendline liquidity as well, then just wait for a pullback into this area for sells. So that is just a more simple way to identify this trade idea. Next, we have the UCAT, okay, and prices are bearish, right? we have a bearish structure, and over here we actually identified a supply zone right inside of these wicks. So if you go down to the lower time frame on the 1 hour, you understand that we have an order block over here. And if you go to current prices, we just tap into this level, okay? But we do not have any signs that tells us that prices want to go lower from here, right? Because we need a break of structure. We need to see the shift, okay? So if you were to identify this schematic, this is a buying climax. This is the automatic rally, ST, and now created your UT, right? So what you need prices to do is to wait for a pullback into maybe demand zones instead of here, right? A secondary push phase, creating your UTED. Then perhaps a shift, breaking out of your automatic rally over here, right? And with this, we are confirmed that prices wants to go lower. Okay, we have the distribution over here that breaks down and now give us a pullback onto potential supply zones instead of here to take prices lower, right? And where do prices wants to go? If you want to be a buyer, where do you want to buy from? You want to buy from here, right? And this makes this demand zone a very crucial area because this is the protected low, right? If prices are able to break this level, right, then we are definitely looking for sells into where? Supply zones inside of here, right? So if prices comes back towards here, doesn't give us any sort of distribution, and instead moves towards this area, then we can look for sells lower into liquidity areas over here. And this is our trade idea for UCAD. Lastly, we have the dollar yen, and you can see prices makes its way back into this supply zone on the daily time frame, right? It gave us a break of structure over here, and this would be our BOS, right? So where the prices comes back to? It come back to mitigate supply zones inside of here, maybe on the lower time frame, okay, or maybe on the higher time frame, on the 8 hour as well, okay. So with this move down, we understand that prices are likely to hit downwards, right? So you can see over here we have this break of structure, right? And we understand that liquidity lies beneath here. So you can see that we still have range for prices to move towards this level, right? To clear this liquidity. And that is why anywhere inside of this range, we are looking for sells. So prices may not necessarily just, break down from here, right? It may actually move up into deeper areas inside of here before redistributing to sell inside of here. And that is why we are definitely selling anywhere from here to here, right? As of current prices. Okay, so obviously you don't sell here now, you stop loss above this level, right? Because you not even get 1:1. And that's why we are always expecting prices to head back towards higher areas to distribute downside. Okay, and another bias that we have over here is that this is an order block and this is an order block as well. So with this bullish move, we can see accumulation over here, right, to push prices higher. And that is why you don't have any reasons why you should sell here and instead wait for higher prices. Okay,